Evening all. I hope you're all well. Someone can just let me know that you can hear me okay in the live chat, that'd be great. Testing 1 2 3, testing. Cool, thank you. Well, I hope you're all well. Are you keeping well? On the big screen as usual, James. Thanks, Vicky. Thanks for the big thank you. I hope you're both keeping well, you and Jason. I hope you've got a widescreen, James. It's got to be 50-inch at least for this big head. So I hope you're well. I think it looks like the same old usual suspects are playing. Just stick your team names in the live chat as usual. Looks like we've got the floating hedgehogs are here. James Woodford's here. I think Bane are playing. Obviously Vicky and Jason, Alison and Tim normally. The Lone Wolf. The LA Day Drinkers are back. Hope Eric is okay. Thanks for letting me know, Joe. Crackbots are here. Jaden and your mum, I assume. You got half the seagulls, James. Welcome back. And the Sherlocks, as usual, are here. Southwest Massive. Thanks, Lauren. And the Little Pigs. Small Yaps are back. Good to see you all. Just you and Nick. And the Three Amigos. I have a very big shout out to make to the Three Amigos. In particular, Vanessa Skinner, who yesterday evening came round and dropped over some Ferrero Rocher for me as a thank you for the quiz. I've not yet thanked her personally, I wasn't in at the time. But thank you very much. I may even help myself to some during the quiz, but I appreciate it. You didn't need to, but I've already eaten 4 or 5 of them. But thank you. Just so you're aware, I'll let you know now. Next week, next Sunday, that will be the last quiz, the last one of Yap's Pub Quiz. So that'll be week 11. Incredibly, we've got to 11 weeks. But yeah, I'll finish up just as I think lockdown comes to, well, not an end, but an easing where you lot can get out and where everyone can get out and start seeing family and friends again in social distancing. But yeah, so next Sunday will be the last one that I'll do. If any of you are interested, and I'm sure James would like to hear this, but Wednesday evening next week, probably around 7 or 8, I'll let you know, but I'll be doing a specialist quiz just on wrestling. So if any of you are interested, then feel free to play. I think James is trying to get some numbers up so we can have a couple of teams playing at least. But yeah, Wednesday next week, everything to do with wrestling. But yes, next Sunday will be the last one. That'll be week 11, and I will finish it there. Cool. So, as you've seen, this week's quiz is called the Quizard of Oz. Another reason why I've decided to end the quiz, I am starting to run out of quiz-based puns for these titles. But yes, Quizard of Oz for this week. And for anyone that's new, perhaps hasn't played, oh, Tandy, that is a good point. Wednesday evening is Arsenal v Man City. First game back, the Premier League. James, we might have to talk about dates. Well, come back to me. We'll get that sorted. But yeah, so for this evening, as usual, there'll be 6 rounds. Each round is based on Trivial Pursuit rounds. So we have geography, history, entertainment, and the rest. What are the rest? Science and nature, arts and literature, sports and leisure. Yeah, so first 3 rounds we'll go through. We then take a break after the 3rd round, quick break. We then go through the answers and let you guys mark up. We then go through rounds 4, 5 and 6. And then we you can tally up at the end. We don't keep score, it's just for a bit of fun, but you guys obviously playing at home and on your Zoom teams can keep your own scores and let others know what you've got, but we don't keep the scores here in the live chat. But if we are ready to go, then I'll get started with this week's quiz. The Quizard of Oz. If you're ready, just stick ready in the box and we'll get going. Got a few readies. Readies. Okay, cool. Right, give me 1 second. Okay, so week 10 of Yats Pub Quiz and the Quizard of Oz. As usual, round 1 is geography. And your first question for this round is, what does the DC stand for in Washington, DC? So question 1, what does the DC stand for in Washington, DC? Okay, so that's question 1. Question 2, in a percentage, how much of Russia does Siberia cover? And I'll give you the point for being within 5%. So in a percentage, how much of Russia does Siberia cover? Also, just as a reminder for later on in the quiz, it is quite important that all of your team members can hear, because I will be playing obviously music for the mashup rounds and more of the sports personalities in the sports and leisure round. Yes, James, get DJ Pete to do the mashups. I liked his mix the other day. Okay, so that's question 2. In a percentage, how much of Russia does Siberia cover? Question 3. What is the only territory of the mainland Americas that still belongs to a European country? So this is the Americas, North, Central and South America. But which country on the mainland over those continents is still or owned or belongs to a European country? Question 3, what is the only territory of the mainland Americas that still belongs to a European country? Okay, question 4. On the 16th of December 1971, East Pakistan was liberated from Pakistan, becoming what newly independent state? This is one of those questions that could fit into geography or history. So on the 16th of December 1971, East Pakistan was liberated from Pakistan, becoming what newly independent state? Okay, that's question 4. Question 5. Which Spanish island is known as the Island of Eternal Spring? So question 5, which Spanish island is known as the Island of Eternal Spring? Okay, question 6. Vilnius is the capital of which country? Vilnius is the capital of which country? I'm not sure if that is a clue, but that is a picture taken from the capital. So question 6, Vilnius is the capital of which country? Question 7, what British island, accessible by road only at low tide, is also known as Holy Island? Okay, so question 7, what British island, accessible by road only at low tide, is also known as Holy Island? Question 8, what is the capital city of Nova Scotia? Okay, it's question 8. What is the capital of Nova Scotia? The capital city of Nova Scotia? Question 9. In 2019, a list of the world's most expensive cities was published, with Singapore, Paris and Hong Kong all joint in top spot. But which is the cheapest city in the world? So this report, which was published by the BBC, the top 10 most expensive are here. You can see Singapore, Paris and Hong Kong all number 1. They did a separate report, or a counter report, for the cheapest cities in the world as well. Which one came number 1? So this data was done on different metrics, but I think they took like the average cost of a lady's haircut, which in Paris is, I think, is £94. But as a clue to the answer to this one, this city, I think on average it's 50 cents for a cup of coffee. Ah, Scotland are playing. You got your family involved, James. Hello to the Woodfords. Hopefully you've got the brains of the family. So question 9. In 2019, a list of the world's most expensive cities was published, with Singapore, Paris and Hong Kong all joint in top spot. But which is the cheapest city in the world? Okay, so that's question 9. Question 10, and the last question for geography. What is the only city in the United Kingdom to begin with the letter R? This is where you need to know the differences between your cities and towns. Okay, so that's question 10. What is the only city in the United Kingdom to begin with the letter R? And that was geography. But before we jump into history, does anyone want me to go back and recap a question? As a reminder, each team only has 2 recaps to use throughout the quiz. But as most of you have figured out, you can rewind live YouTube and go back, have a look yourself, save the recap. But if you do need me to go back over a question, just let me know. What's your tipple for the evening as well? Obviously mine's G&T. Testing out some taster gins. This one's Belgravia London Dry Gin. Too late, James, you've hit 40, you can't recap. Gone past the point of no return. So's your hairline. Champagne, Sarah, very nice. Red wine for Lauren. On to the cheaper Prosecco. Cool, so no recaps, everyone's happy? Give you a few more seconds and we'll start history. Cool, right, so history, question 1. Which 2 German cities suffered the most casualties due to aerial bombardment in World War II? So which two German cities suffered the most casualties due to aerial bombardment in World War II? So it doesn't necessarily mean they were the most bombed, but those bombs caused the most casualties. I think you have to think strategically with this question. Okay, so that's question one. Which two German cities suffered the most casualties due to aerial bombardment in World War II? No, sorry, clarify that. It is 1 point for getting both cities. I know I'm harsh, but yeah, you have to name both the cities to get 1 point. Okay, so question two. At its peak, the British Empire spanned 33.7 million square kilometres, and that was in 1923, and was the largest empire the world has known. But at its largest, what was the second biggest empire in human history? So you can see there on the screen, that is the British Empire at its peak. The red covered everything that they owned or ruled. But at its largest, what was the second biggest empire in human history? And it's just based purely on how many square kilometres it covered. Okay, so question two. At its peak, the British Empire spanned 33.7 million square kilometres and was the largest empire the world has known. But at its largest, what was the second biggest empire in human history? That's question two. Question three. Which English city would have been the new capital if Adolf Hitler's invasion plans had been successful? So which English city would have been the new capital if Adolf Hitler's invasion plans had been successful? Good guess there, James. Harlow. Centre of all culture. Hope you appreciate my nod to Dad's Army with that picture. Who do you think you're kidding, Mr. Hitler? So question three, which English city would have been the new capital if Adolf Hitler's invasion plans had been successful? Question four, what was Belize called until 1973? Again, another question that could easily fall into geography. Okay, so question 4. What was Belize called until 1973? Question 5. Billy Bishop, Roland Garros, Mick Mannock and Eddie Rickenbacker are all examples of what? Billy Bishop, Roland Garros, Mick Mannock and Eddie Rickenbacker are all examples of what? And I think most of you will know one of those names, if you like your sport. Don't give any clues away, James. Billy Bishop, that's a great name, isn't it? Cool. So that's question 5. Billy Bishop, Roland Garros, Mick Mannock and Eddie Rickenbacker are all examples of what? Question 6. What was the capital city of Portugal between the years 1808 and 1821? So what was the capital city of Portugal between the years 1808 and 1821? I might have even made it easier for you with that diagram there. Although I think you know me by now that my quizzes aren't quite that easy. Yeah, that makes me sad, James. We should have been watching Euro 2020 instead of doing this. Should be doing a lot of things instead of this. Cool, so that's question 6. Question 7. Which Apollo 11 astronaut did not set foot on the moon? Shannon, are you a space fan? Do you know questions like this? So question 7, which Apollo 11 astronaut did not set foot on the moon? Question 8, Gavrilo Princip assassinated which man? So question 8, Gavrilo Princip assassinated which man? Okay, that's question 8. Gavrilo Princip assassinated which man? Question 9. In 1996, where in London was an IRA bomb planted to end a ceasefire? In 1996, where in London was an IRA bomb planted to end a ceasefire? Just a small reminder to Beth not to shout, otherwise she will be picked up on the microphone. So question 9, in 1996, where in London was an IRA bomb planted to end a ceasefire? And then question 10, final question for history. What is the oldest continuously used national flag? So what is the oldest continuously used national flag? So basically a country has a national flag that since day one that it was designed has never been out of use. Sounds like Shaz is going to do well this week. We haven't come to a favourite round yet. Science and nature. So Joe, it's a good point. There's some overlap between history and geography. When it involves countries, it can fit into either. Cool, so that's question 10. The next round is entertainment, which includes your music mashups. And my dad wants a recap of question 5. So question 5 for history was Billy Bishop, Roland Garros, Mick Mannock and Eddie Rickenbacker are all examples of what? Does anyone else need me to recap a question? That's one recap for the small yaps. Okay, so that's question 5. If no one else needs one, we will jump into entertainment. Give you a few more seconds. Cool. Okay, so entertainment. Question 1. Which one is the odd one out? And this is for my dad. He's been asking for an odd one out round or questions for a while. There's a few of these. So they are all James Bond films. We have Octopussy, Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever and Goldfinger. Which one's the odd one out? So you have 2 there that are played by Sean Connery and the other 2 by Roger Moore. So Octopussy, Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever and Goldfinger. But which one is the odd one out? Okay, take one last look. Question 2. Which instrument is the odd one out? So we have the flute, the trumpet, piccolo, and the oboe. Which instrument is the odd one out? I think if you did music at school, this is fairly obvious. Okay, so have one last look. That's question 2. Which instrument is the odd one out? Question 3. And we've got some more James Bond films here. But which one is the odd one out? So we have Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, we have Moonraker again, we have Casino Royale, and a film called Kidnapped. Okay, so which one is the odd one out? We have Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, we have Moonraker, Casino Royale, and Kidnapped. Just as a side note, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was one of my favourite films as a kid. I watched it so much that when I was bad, I wasn't allowed to watch it. That's how much I watched that film. And yet I hate musicals. Okay, so that's question 3. Which name is the odd one out here? So we have Richard, James, Henry, John, and George. But which name is the odd one out? I won't give you my impression of the child capture, Ben or Claire. But that actor had a very sad life. I think I can't remember his name, but he was a ballerina, a dancer. I think that was the only major film that he did, and I think he committed suicide later on in his life. Question 4: which name is the odd one out? Richard, James, Henry, John, and George. Okay, so have one last look at that. And then the next set of questions, if I remember rightly, are the music mashups. So make sure everyone can hear. So, oh no, after this question. Everyone make sure you can hear after this question. So name the band. There's quite a few of you out there that I expect to get this. Highlight Central, that is the best shout ever. I think we've got old school Clifton Thompson somewhere in there. Jude has a mower in there as well at the moment with his hair. Cool, let's have a look. Last look, that's name the band. And then the next set of questions are the music mashups. So, as always, I'll play you a track. One artist or band will supply the vocals, and another artist or band will supply the instrumentals. Now, apparently, last week I made it only 1 point for getting both, which, according to Beth, was a bit harsh. So I'll give you 2 points, 1 point for getting the vocals and the other point for the instrumentals. So there's 2 points up for grabs from each of these questions. That makes sense? Cool. So I'll play you the first one. I'll play them both twice so you can get it. And just let me know if you can hear it okay. That one is one of the quieter ones this week. I will turn that up again and play it a second time. Okay. Apparently I've gone out of sync, or I might have frozen. Is that the case for most of you, or? It's loud, sorry. Turn it back down. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. But that's question 6. So name the artist for vocals and the artist for instrumentals. Question 7. Do the same. Okay, I'll play it a second time for you. Everyone just take note of that the DJ is asking me to turn the volume down. Just for your soft ears, James, I'll turn it down a bit. So that's question 7. So again, just name the vocalists and the instrumentals. Question 8.
Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. And there she stood in the doorway. I heard the mission bell. And I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven, and this could be hell.
Okay, play it a second time for you.
Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. And there she stood in the doorway. I heard the mission bell. And I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven, and this could be hell.
James says that one was a bit muffled. Is that the case for all of you? And Eric has said that there is a volume button on all the devices that you are using, which is a very good point, Eric. So question 9.
Don't stop, come a little closer as we jam. The rhythm gets stronger. There's nothing wrong with just a little fun. We were dancing all night long.
Okay, one more time for you.
Don't stop, come a little closer as we jam. The gets stronger. There's nothing wrong with just a little fun. We were dancing all night long.
Okay, question 10, the last one for entertainment.
My fire, the one desire when I say.
I will turn that one up a bit as well. Play that a second time for you.
My fire, the one desire when I say.
Not a fan of the vocals on that one, but the instrumentals is a tune. Cool, okay, so that was entertainment. Before we jump into the answers, just let me know if you need me to go back and recap a question. Just give me a second, I need to let my cat in. He has a cat flap, but he likes to be treated like a king. I can sort you out an old school mixtape, Eric, no problem. James has a long history of doing mixtapes. Should ask him about them. Cool, so we need to go back and recap anything? Are we okay? If not, we'll start going through the answers. I need more gin. Cool, I think we're all good. So, geography. First question was, what does the DC stand for in Washington, DC? That is District of Columbia. We've got some requests. So, sorry, let me just go back a minute. Question 9, so you want the replay on that one. This is 9.
Don't stop, come a little closer as we jam. The rhythm gets stronger. There's nothing wrong with just a little fun. We were dancing all night long.
So just for the record, Southwest Massive and Floating Hedgehogs, you've used a recap for 9. Although if Mike was a bit slower, he would have heard that for free, but never mind. Sherlock's, this is 10.
My fire, the one desire when I say.
Cool. Yeah, 9 is hard. I think it's the hardest one out of that lot. Cool. Okay, so we'll go back through the answers. So as I said, question 1, what does the DC stand for in Washington, DC? That is the District of Columbia. Question 2, in a percentage, how much of Russia does Siberia cover? And it's a point for being within 5%, and that is 77%. It's huge, but to put that into perspective, it only accounts for 23% of the population. So it's about as populated as Australia is. But if you took Siberia alone out of the rest of Russia, it would still be the biggest country on Earth, which is incredible. So, yep, question 2, 77% or within 5% of that answer. Question 3, what is the only territory of the mainland Americas that still belongs to a European country? And that is French Guiana, which is in South America, just here. Cool, so question 3, the answer is French Guiana. Question 4, on the 16th of December 1971, East Pakistan was liberated from Pakistan, becoming what newly independent state? And that is Bangladesh. Pakistan is here. They used to rule East Pakistan here before they gained independence and became Bangladesh. So question 4, the answer is Bangladesh. Question 5, which Spanish island is known as the Island of Eternal Spring? And that is Tenerife. And these are my own pictures. So that's Mount TD. This is me climbing Mount TD. This is me sitting on a rock at Mount TD, which you can't really see in terms of perspective, but that is really high up. And just down here, you can see two people. It's something to do with the perspective of the rock. When you sit there, it looks like it's ahead of you, but it's actually below. I can't remember the name, but yeah, question 5, the answer is Tenerife, because of the weather, I believe. Question 6, Vilnius is the capital of which country? And that is Lithuania. Trying to put you off slightly by putting in a very bright and vibrant picture that looks somewhere maybe in the Caribbean or South America, but that is Lithuania. So question 7, what British island accessible by road only at low tide is also known as Holy Island? That is Lindisfarne, which is up on the east coast of England, near the borders of Scotland, just here. But you can only access it when there's low tide. Okay, so that's question 7. The answer is Lindisfarne. Question 8, what is the capital city of Nova Scotia? And that is Halifax. Question 8, the answer is Halifax. Question 9, in 2019 a list of the world's most expensive cities was published. What is the cheapest city in the world? And that is Caracas in Venezuela. As I said, I think that on average it's 50 cents for a cup of coffee there. All of these pretty much classed as developing nations, maybe apart from Argentina in 7. But yeah, that was the list. So Caracas was the answer to question 9. Question 10, what is the only city in the United Kingdom to begin with the letter R? And that is Ripon. So question 10, the answer is Ripon. James is right. That is why Stango is in Venezuela, because it's cheap. Cool, so that's geography. History. Question 1, which 2 German cities suffered the most casualties due to aerial bombardment in World War II? That was Dresden and Hamburg, industrial cities. That's why the Allies bombed them so heavily. So Berlin did get bombed, but nowhere near as much as Dresden and Hamburg. I think in one night, Dresden had 20,000 people killed, just in one night. So question 1, the answer was Dresden and Hamburg. Question 2, at its peak, the British Empire spanned 33.7 million square kilometres and was the largest empire the world has known. But at its largest, what was the second biggest empire in human history? That was the Mongol Empire, spanning 24 million square kilometres, pretty much all of Asia and some parts of Europe, as you can see here. So question 2, the answer was the Mongol Empire. Question 3, which English city would have been the new capital if Adolf Hitler's invasion plans had been successful? That is Oxford. Apparently Hitler had a thing for Oxford. Question 4, what was Belize called until 1973? That is British Honduras. So question 4, the answer is British Honduras. Question 5, Billy Bishop, Roland Garros, Mick Mannock and Eddie Rickenbacker are all examples of what? They were World War I flying aces. So you might recognise the name Roland Garros. That's because the French tennis tournament, or the location that is played at, is named after him. This is Roland Garros here. So they were all World War I flying aces. This is Billy Bishop, that's Mick Mannock, and this is Eddie Rickenbacker. So English, American, German and French. So question 5, the answer is World War I flying aces. Aces like tennis, exactly, Martin, sorry. Question 6, what was the capital city of Portugal between the years 1808 and 1821? Well done to anyone that got this. That was Rio de Janeiro, because Portugal used to rule Brazil. That's why they speak Portuguese. And when they thought Napoleon was going to invade mainland Portugal, they moved the capital to Brazil, or as it was then. So for those years, that's where the capital was served. and then it moved back. Okay, so the question 6, the answer was Rio. Question 7, which Apollo 11 astronaut did not set foot on the moon? Apparently, I think Shaz would have got this. It's Michael Collins. This is Michael here. So Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin both stepped foot on the moon, but Michael's job was to fly the capsule around the moon whilst they, put flags up and had a little dance on the moon. He stayed in orbit. Question 8, Gavrilo Princip assassinated which man? And that was the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which was one of the main contributing factors to the start of World War I. So Gavrilo Princip assassinated the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Question 9, in 1996, where in London was an IRA bomb planted to end a ceasefire? That was Canary Wharf, although I will accept Docklands, as many people refer to as the Docklands bomb. So question 9, the answer was Canary Wharf or the Docklands. Question 10, what is the oldest continuously used national flag? And that is Denmark's, and their Danebrog, I think it's pronounced. So since inception it's been used. It's the oldest flag in the world. Cool, so that was history. And now we go into entertainment. First question for entertainment. What's the odd one out? That is Octopussy, this one here. All the others had their theme song sung by Shirley Bassey. I think Rita Coolidge did Octopussy. So Octopussy is the odd one out. All the rest were sung by Shirley Bassey, who apparently is coming back to sing one of the next James Bond films, apparently. So question 2, which instrument is the odd one out? That's the trumpet. The others are part of the woodwind family, but the trumpet is of course part of the brass family. I tried to throw you off a bit by putting a black trumpet in, but yeah, different musical family. So question 2, the odd one out is the trumpet. Question 3, which one's the odd one out? This one's a bit harder, but Kidnapped is the odd one out. All the others are written by Ian Fleming. So Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and all of the James Bond films and stories, but not Kidnapped. Okay, so that was question 3. The answer is Kidnapped. Question 4, which name is the odd one out? That's Henry. All the others are the names of the Beatles. James is the first name of Paul, apparently. And Richard is the name of Ringo. So the odd one out for question 4 is Henry. Question 5, name the band. That is Sly and the Family Stone, aka Harlow Central. So question 5, Sly and the Family Stone. Question 6, name the artists and songs from the vocals and instrumentals. So on vocals was Jackson 5, Blame It on the Boogie, and the instrumentals was The Clash, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Just a quick reminder of that. Cool, so that's question 6. Question 7, that was Carl Douglas with Kung Fu Fighting on vocals, and Spin Doctors with Two Princes. Just a quick reminder of that one. Sorry Becky, it's a point for each one. So if you got both right, you get 2 points. If you got one right, you get 1 point. Cool. So that was question 7. Question 8 on vocals with the Eagles with Hotel California, great song. And the instrumentals were the Supremes with My World Is Empty Without You. Just a quick reminder of that one.
Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy
Cool, so that was question 8. Question 9, it was Daft Punk with Digital Love on vocals and Earth, Wind and Fire with September on the instrumentals. Just remind you of that one.
Don't stop, come a little closer as we jam. The rhythm gets stronger. There's nothing wrong with just a little fun. We were dancing.
Sam is saying, question 1 for entertainment, Goldfinger was the only one not directed by Broccoli. Okay, well if that's correct, I don't know if it is, but if you're saying that is the case, then I'll let you have the point. Good knowledge for knowing that. Question 10, vocals was Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way, and of course the instrumentals were Gabrielle with Dreams. Cool. So the next round is arts and literature, which will take a quick break. I'm just going to grab some ice and gin. I'll be back with you.
I'm livid we didn't get that Beatles question. I know, I'm so annoyed.
So just let me know when you're ready and we'll jump into the next round. Good question, Eric. I started with Belgravia, which I've now finished. I've just finished the bottle of Bombay Sapphire, but I'm just finishing up really. We got, when was it? A couple of months ago, we got bought a selection box of gins for our wedding anniversary, and to be honest, Beth said none of them, but I'm just going to finish them off. No, not in a tin. I have my own Schweppes cans. So the Sherlocks are ready. Anyone else ready to go? The usual suspects in arts and literature this week. So there'll be a question to name the artist, name a painting perhaps, name a bit of art. Sherlocks are ready, small yaps are ready, Smartinis are ready, floating hedgehogs are ready to go. Just wait for a few more of you to give me the okay. What's your team name this week, Vicky? I think I missed it. You changed it last week from Bane to something else, didn't you? James is Teddy. Rob's asked question why. Can't answer that, Rob, not sure. Ben's right. I wish I was in France as well. Le Mans should have been happening. We would have been there perhaps for that this year. Haven't been for a few years. Cool. Okay. I think most of you are ready to go. Oh, the last dance. Should have saved that for next week. Cool. So arts and literature. Question 1. Which famous British artist had himself tied to the mast of a ship so that he could paint a storm, although this is apparently complete fiction? Welcome, Peter, Anne-Marie, Amelia, Martin, David, Madap. I think Rob's playing a game of Hangman. Next year, Ben, we'll get Andy to organise it for us. So question 1, which famous British artist had himself tied to the mast of a ship so that he could paint a storm, although apparently it is complete fiction? Okay, so that's question 1. Question 2, name the artist. I think more of a challenging question should have been, which bridge is he on? Okay, so that's name the artist. Have one last look at him. James, I was actually just thinking exactly the same thing. That guy could be, a member of my family. If I was a little slimmer, if I had the tash still, got the hair. Cool. So that's question 2, name the artist. Question 3, what is the best-selling novel of all time? What is the best-selling novel of all time? Now this is an interesting question because when I was researching it, literally all external sources that I came across gave this one book, but Wikipedia will give you a different answer. So if you are slightly tempted to cheat, they will probably give you the wrong answer. Think about the question as well, best-selling novel. So I'm not looking for the best-selling book of all time, specifically novel. I think the Bible's up there when it comes to best-selling books. Okay, so that was question 3. What is the best-selling novel of all time? Question 4. Where in London is Poets' Corner? Caught me again, Eric. I seem to be very into orthography this week, you're right. Okay, so question 4. Where in London is Poets' Corner? Question 5. Who painted this? Oh, I don't know, for some reason, always in my head, I imagine this picture with quite dark, monotone kind of colours, like your blues and blacks, but the original is quite bright. It's not how I remember it. Very good impression of that, Shaz. Okay, so that's question 5. Who painted this? Question 6. Name the character. I'm looking for the name of the cat, not the mouse in the bag. I think there's some of you out there that will definitely get this. Okay, so that's question 6. Name the character. Have one last look. Question 7. Superman first appeared in which comic? So here I'm not looking for the comic number or the name of the comic, just the publishing house. The series of comics that started Superman. So again, I'm not looking for the title of the comic. Just need to know who published that comic. My sister is asking me if I'm able to be more specific. So, for example, Iron Man is published by Marvel Comics, but which company gave the world Superman? You're wrong, James. I'm not a closet DC fan. I'm a massive DC fan. DC comics are so much more, they're so much more gritty and real to an extent, but Batman's the best character ever created. Okay, so that's question 7. Superman first appeared in which comic? Question 8. What is the name of the pig in E.B. White's Charlotte's Web? What is the name of the pig in E.B. White's Charlotte's Web? Actually, Sarah's wrong. I didn't have Batman wallpaper. I had bats hanging from my ceiling as a kid. I actually had Spider-Man wallpaper, I think. But I had a life-size cutout of Batman on the back of my door. And which normal kid has bats hanging from their ceiling? Okay, so question 8. What is the name of the pig in E.B. White's Charlotte's Web? Oh, Ben, that was a later time of the Manchester United wallpaper. That came a bit later. And I had gigs on the wall for a long time. So question 8. What is the name of the pig in E.B. White's Charlotte's Web? Question 9. My Bed was an art installation by Tracy Emin. But what year was it created? I agree with my dad as well. It is crispy roast pork. One of the best things ever to come out from a pig. Fairly true representation of my bedroom. Although I don't really drink vodka. Lauren, is your mum... Paula, are you trying to out me as a closet goth? Definitely not one of those. Again, Sarah, you're not quite right. It wasn't a hamster. It was a guinea pig. Giggsy the guinea pig. Cool, so that's question 9. My Bed was an art installation by Tracy Emin, but what year was it created? Question 10, the last question for arts and literature. The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, The Night Watch, and The Return of the Prodigal Son are all works of art by who? James retracted that message when I think he read the second name of the painting. So The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, The Night Watch, and The Return of the Prodigal Son are all works of art by who? Okay, so that was arts and literature. Before we get into science and nature and your favourite name the animal questions, does anyone want me to recap a question from the last round? We're good to go? I'll give you a few more seconds because my dad normally jumps in at this point. Cool, okay, so science and nature. First question. When Richard Nixon was president, sample 70017 was cut into fragments and distributed to all US states and 135 countries around the globe as a goodwill gesture. What is it? Trump's hair should be the right answer. So when Richard Nixon was president, sample 70017 was cut into fragments and distributed to all US states and 135 countries around the globe as a goodwill gesture. What is it? Okay, so that's question 1. Question 2, name the animal. I can hear the Sherlocks debating this question, and I think the rest of the team should listen to what Beth is saying. Just the general animal. Shaz, I'm not looking for, specific species names, but I'm not after Latin names, although some of these are based on Latin names. Carol Baskin, good question, good one. Okay, so that's question 2. Question 3, what is the process of growing vegetables in water without soil called? So question 3, what is the process of growing vegetables in water without soil called? Okay, question 4, name the animal. And while you think about it, I'm going to grab another bottle of gin. Greenall's wild berry gin, apparently, infused with wild berries. Okay, so that's question 4, name the animal. Question 5, beetles imported from Canada in 1967 led to the loss of 25 million of which trees in Britain? So I want to know what type of tree was affected by that beetle. Question 5. Beetles imported from Canada in 1967 led to the loss of 25 million of which trees in Britain? Okay, so that's question 5. Question 6, name the animal. Welcome to the quiz, Martin. This is a round where I normally get animals that look a lot like each other and ask you to name them. This week's is the easiest one, I think. I've done, well, there was Llama Gate a few weeks ago. So question 6, name the animal. Question 7, on a horse, where is the dock? Okay, so question 7, on a horse, where is the dock? Question 8, name the animal. I loved that game as a kid, James. I've got it on an emulator upstairs somewhere. It's one of the most underrated games. It was also hard. I remember it being ridiculously hard. Cool. So question 8, name the animal. Question 9, I love this question. If you dug a hole through the centre of the earth, starting from Wellington in New Zealand, which European country would you end up in? So you have to think laterally with this question and just literally take New Zealand and wrap the globe around where would it come out. Revert it back to geography, sorry. I can't even really call it a science question because it's not even doable, is it? But if you were to do it, if you were able to do it, so if you dug a hole through the centre of the earth, starting from Wellington in New Zealand, which European country would you end up in? So you just have to wrap the northern and southern hemisphere around the globe. Okay, so that's question 9. And question 10, the last one for science and nature. Name the animal. Cool. So that was science and nature. Before we get into the last round of sports and leisure, does anyone want me to go back over a question? No? Cool. All good to go? So, sports and leisure. First question. What are the 5 colours of an archery target board? So in the sport of archery, their target boards have different colours as you get closer to the bullseye. But what are the 5 colours? It's 1 point for naming all 5, by the way. So what are the 5 colours of an archery target board? Question 2. Name the 4 train stations in the original game of Monopoly, the UK version. Just my admiration and respect, Eric, but no extra points. Never played the US version. Does it take in different cities, or do you have a different version for each city? Okay, let's go question 2. Name the 4 train stations in the original game of Monopoly. Question 3. Which team has won more trophies since the first Ryder Cup golf tournament in 1927? The USA or Great Britain and Europe? The reason it says Great Britain or Europe is because I think in 1979 Europe were invited as a team rather than just Great Britain. But since its inception, which team has won more trophies? Question 3. Which team has won more trophies since the first Ryder Cup golf tournament in 1927? USA or Great Britain and Europe? Okay, so that's question 3. Question 4. Who was the first manager from outside the British Isles to win the English FA Cup? Essentially, who was the first non-British manager to win the FA Cup? So question 4. Who was the first manager from outside the British Isles to win the English FA Cup? Question 5. And this is where you have to listen again. This is name the sports star from their voice. I'll play each one twice for you.
Yeah, we're blessed. Obviously, we get a chance to spend a lot of time together. So I'm quarantined down here in Florida with my wife and my 2 kids, and stay in contact with my other 3 kids via the phone. But my family's doing well. Mom, brothers, sisters, everybody's doing well. So we're very blessed, especially with what's going on in the world. And
okay, one more time.
yeah, we're blessed. Obviously, we get a chance to spend a lot of time together. So I'm quarantined down here in Florida with my wife and my 2 kids, and stay in contact with my other 3 kids via the phone. But my family's doing well. Mom, brothers, sisters, everybody's doing well. So we're very blessed, especially with what's going on in the world. And
okay, so who is very blessed? Name the sports star from their voice. I'll give you a couple of moments to confer amongst your Zoom teams. I'll also give you some help. With these voice clips, it doesn't really matter what they're saying. I don't think there's any real clues. I've specifically chosen ones that don't give you clues. So they could be talking about anything. Question 6. Again, name the sports star from the voice.
Our own house, we don't have land, we don't have even food. We just, we have to work every day to make money to buy food for the family. So even we're too young to work, but we have to work. Like selling donuts, selling pandesal, selling flowers, just to earn money to buy food.
Okay, I'll play it one more time for you.
Our own house, we don't have land, we don't have even food. We just, we have to work every day to make money to buy food for the family. So even we're too young to work, but we have to work. Like selling donuts, selling pandesal, selling flowers, just to earn money to buy food.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of moments to confer. Okay, so question 7. Again, name the sports star from their voice.
With the technology changes and the way the game is played now, the players last longer because they take better care of themselves. They know more what to do, what not to do. I think they pace themselves better, and also it's more in some ways.
One more time.
With the technology changes and the way the game is played now, the players last longer because they take better care of themselves. They know more what to do, what not to do. I think they pace themselves better, and also it's more in some ways.
Do you know how hard it is to come up with semi-recognisable female sports stars? It's quite difficult, and you can get too niche quite quickly. But that was question 7. Oh, no, I think they're all stars, within their field. Dominated their sports. Okay, so that's question 7. Question 8.
I said, yeah, of course, some music, just for the lyrics, sometimes for the music, sometimes for you remember an amazing life, part of your life, period of your life. Yeah, music is part of the culture, how many things change in the world through the music. So it's part of our life. It's impossible to live, especially now my kids, my daughters and son, so they are, so they laugh because they listen music. I could not listen.
So they may not be stars, maybe we'll call them sports personalities, but they're world famous, I would say. I'll give that one another play.
I said, yeah, of course, some music, just for the lyrics, sometimes for the music, sometimes for you remember an amazing life, part of your life, period of your life. Yeah, music is part of the culture, how many things change in the world through the music. So it's part of our life. It's impossible to live, especially now my kids, my daughters and son, so they are, so they laugh because they listen music. I could not listen.
Okay, so that's question 8. Give you a couple of moments to confer. Okay, so question 9.
We have money, we have everything, we have fame. And they say, I have millions, billions, but the most important thing is the family. Keep your family healthy, good, and take care of your family, because this is the most important thing in the world. Apart of that, of course, you have your life, your private life, you have your girlfriend, you have your cars, your houses, your fame. But
One more time.
we have money, we have everything, we have fame. And they say, I have millions, billions, but the most important thing is the family. Keep your family healthy, good, and take care of your family, because this is the most important thing in the world. Apart of that, of course, you have your life, your private life, you have your girlfriend, you have your cars, your houses, your fame. But
Okay. So that was question 9. And then question 10, the last question of this week's quiz, and the last question for sports and leisure. The name Jenga is derived from a word meaning build. In which language? So the name Jenga is derived from a word meaning build. In which language? Cool. So that was question 10. Before we get into the answers for arts and literature, does anyone want me to go back over a question for sports and leisure? I will replay you a clip if I have to. Just let me know. I'm trying to think if anyone's used up their recaps. I think everyone's got one left, at least. Last chance. No? Okay then. Cool. So, arts and literature. First question was, which famous British artist had himself tied to the mast of a ship so that he could paint a storm, although apparently it is complete fiction? That was J.M.W. Turner. You can see him there. So Turner, or J.M.W. Turner, that was the answer to question 1. Question 2, name the artist. That is, of course, Salvador Dali. I think he was quite young at this point, hadn't quite managed the massive curly tash. So question 2, the answer is Salvador Dali. Question 3, what is the best-selling novel of all time? This is Don Quixote, a Spanish book, a Spanish novel. But yeah, apparently that sold over 500 million copies, I think. It's a story, it's based about a guy that's fascinated about knights, so much so that it becomes one. I think A Knight's Tale, the film, is based loosely on this novel. But yeah, it's the best-selling novel of all time. I think in second, third, fourth and fifth places are the likes of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series and all the rest of it. But this, it's an old one as well, it's a really old book. But yeah, Don Quixote. Question 4, where in London is Poets' Corner? That's in Westminster Abbey. That's the corner of the Abbey where they've buried poets over the years. So where in London is Poets' Corner? That's in Westminster Abbey. Question 5, who painted this? That is Edvard Munch. Edvard Munch. Who painted the Scream? Question 6, name the character. That is Miss Muppet from Beatrix Potter. I've cut off the question there. But question 6 was Miss Muppet from Beatrix Potter. Question 7, Superman first appeared in which series of comics? That was Action Comics. So before he became a DC character, he was launched in, I think, 1938 in Action Comics as propaganda against the Nazis. Oh, hi, Sarah Jane Skinner. Didn't know he was playing. We thought Tom Kitten. It's a good guess, but not quite right. I think it's the ribbons or something, I don't know. But Miss Poppet, apparently. I'm not an expert on Beatrix Potter characters, though. But question 7, Superman first appeared in Action Comics. Question 8, what is the name of the pig in E.B. White's Charlotte's Web? That is Wilbur. So Wilbur is the name of the pig in Charlotte's Web. Charlotte, of course, the spider, not the girl. Question 9, My Bed was an art installation by Tracy Emin, but what year was it created? It was created in 1998, and not exhibited at the Tate until 1999. So question 9, the answer is 1998. Question 10, The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, The Night Watch and The Return of the Prodigal Son are all works by Rembrandt. Question 10, the answer is Rembrandt. So that was arts and literature. And the next round was science and nature. First question was, when Richard Nixon was president, sample 70017 was cut into fragments and distributed to all US states and 135 countries around the globe as a goodwill gesture. What is it? It's moon rock. So moon rock. People were questioning the Miss Moppet answer. Google it. So question 1, the answer was moon rock. Maybe fairly obvious. He was the president of the moon landings and all the rest of it. Oh. Question 2, name the animal. That was a leopard. So question 2, that is a leopard. Question 3, what is the process of growing vegetables in water without soil called? That is hydroponics. Question 3, the answer was hydroponics. Question 4, name the animal. That was a jaguar. Question 4, that is a jaguar. Also on a side note, there actually isn't an animal called a panther. Panthers are just black jaguars. But question 4, jaguar. Question 5, beetles imported from Canada in 1967 led to the loss of 25 million of which trees in Britain? And that was elms. And the beetle was called an elm beetle. So question 5, the answer is elm tree. Question 6, name the animal. That is a cheetah. So name the animal. That is a cheetah. Question 7, on a horse, where is the dock? That is in the tail. More specifically, at the top of the tail, apparently. That's where a dock is. Nice one, Tandy. Question 8, name the animal. That is a porpoise. Question 8, the answer is porpoise. Now this one, question 9, if you dug a hole through the centre of the earth, starting from Wellington in New Zealand, which European country would you end up in? That is Spain. And if you're really interested, there is a website called Antipodes Map. You just put in a starting location and it will tell you where you'd end up. So yeah, if you dug a hole from Wellington, New Zealand, straight through the centre of the earth, you'd come out in Spain. Question 10, the last one for science and nature. That is a dolphin. So name the animal. That's a dolphin. Sports and leisure. First question. What are the 5 colours of an archery target board? They're gold, red, blue, black and white. If you said yellow, I'll give you yellow. But you have to name all 5 to get the point. Question 2. Name the 4 train stations in the original game of Monopoly. That's Fenchurch Street, Liverpool Street, King's Cross and Marylebone. Question 3, which team has won more trophies since the first Ryder Cup golf tournament in 1927? The USA or Europe? The answer is USA. They've got 26 compared to Britain or Europe's combined total of 14. I think if you take it from 1979 onwards, from when Europe played as a team. I think the USA still beat them. Question 4. Who was the first manager from outside the British Isles to win the English FA Cup? That is, of course, Ruud Gullit. So that's question 4, Ruud Gullit. Question 5. Name the sports star from their voice. That's Michael Jordan. So the first voice you heard was Michael Jordan. I didn't have a chance to replicate the sound again on here, so I can't play it back to you, but question 5 was Michael Jordan. Before we go to question 6, anyone has a guess who was number 6? The second voice that you heard? Maybe a slightly harder one as well. Anyone want to hazard a guess? No? No one want to put their hand up? Okay. We'll become very shy. So question 6, the answer was Manny Pacquiao. Suarez, eh? Very different. So he's from the Philippines, which kind of throws his accent off, because most Filipinos talk with a slight American accent. So yeah, question 6, the answer was Manny Pacquiao. Question 7, I think probably the easiest one. One of the easiest ones. I think James got this instantly. Question 7, it was the female voice. Full names, please, full names. But yeah, Beth is right. Question 7, the answer is Martina Navratilova. Not really sure if you deserve the point just for getting the first name, but yeah, Martina Navratilova. Eight. Who wants a guess on number 8? Anyone want to hazard a guess for who number 8 was? Yeah, good guess, Tandy. It was Pep Guardiola, talking about music. Yeah, so question 8, the answer was Pep Guardiola. And then the last one, I think again, probably the easiest one, number 9. The one talking about family being the most important thing. Anyone want to hazard a guess for number 9? Again, Tandy's right. It was Cristiano Ronaldo. Or CR7. So yeah, sports and leisure, question 9, Cristiano Ronaldo. The last question for sports and leisure. The name Jenga is derived from a word meaning build in which language? And that is Swahili. Swahili. And that is the end of this week's quiz. So obviously you can tally up your scores, find out how you did compared to other teams. Obviously we don't record it here in the chat, but hope you all did well. I hope you all enjoyed it. Yeah, as I said, the next week will be the last one, the 11th week as well, the pub quiz. I'll stick to the usual Trivial Pursuit style rounds. Yeah, and I'll do my best to make it as interesting as possible. But a slight change to next week is, and I'm getting them to commit to it now, Beth has already created a round. So she doesn't want to do a full quiz, but Beth will be doing a round. She's created it herself. I've not been involved. I think it's just music. But her slight hesitation is she thinks it might be too hard. I'm not sure if she's been playing for the last 10 weeks, but I think it probably fit in. So Beth will take over for one round next week, which means I can play for 10 questions. I can play instead of hosting. So that'd be good. But yeah, as next week is the last one, please invite whoever you want to get as many people possibly involved as you like. I promise I will remove any unrelated or I'll take out any geography questions that shouldn't be there apart from in the geography round. I promise. But yeah, any other suggestions you want, just let me know. But yeah, feel free to pass on the link, get as many people as involved as possible for next week. Hopefully go out on a high. But yes, I will see you then. Take care of yourselves. Look after one another. I'll see you next Sunday at 8 o'clock. Cheers, guys.